book people, I'm here to do something that I should have done probably a month and a half ago, and that is film a book talk for Heir of Fire by S.J. Maas. I don't know why I just did that really weird voice. Seriously, I probably finished reading this book like a month and a half ago, and I don't know, I just haven't had it in me to be filming, especially not long things like book talks. But because it's been so long since I read, you can't even see that, because it's been so long since I read this book, this will not take very long. So you know what, I would say grab some tea, but I honestly don't think it's going to take that long. As usual, I do not promise a spoiler-free book talk / review, whatever it is that you feel like calling this. Again, this is the third book in a series anyway, so I don't really know why you would be watching this if you have any intention of reading Throne of Glass. You might want to leave. By now, you all know my feelings about Throne of Glass. It is by no means my favorite YA series. I like it well enough, like I really do. I wouldn't continue to be reading these books if I didn't enjoy it. But a lot of people are just obsessed with and in love with this series, and I'm just not there. Y'all know I thought the first book was choppy and just not it all together and was just kind of bad, for lack of a better word. It wasn't good for me, let's say that. Second book was a heck of a whole lot better. Still a little, but I got over it. This stuff right here, though, this monster, this, how do you say that word, behemoth, this right here, yeah, whoa. I still hate these covers, by the way. I hate them. I hate them. This was a roller coaster of feels, and it's not just, I don't even know how to explain the roller coaster. It's a roller coaster because you're following a lot more perspectives in this particular installment, and everyone has something completely different going on with them. Celaena's got her thing going on in Windland. Dorian and Kale are going through whatever it is that they're going through because they are forever going through some kind of struggle, bless their little hearts, back in Adarlan. And then you have, you know, the new witches. We'll talk about the witches. But yeah, everyone's in completely different places doing completely different things, and they're all going through such completely different, you know, hardships that you have a heck of a whole lot of emotions. You can tell I had a lot of emotions because look at all my sticky notes. Look at them. Look at them. In Heir of Fire, we get introduced to a heck of a whole lot of new characters, OMG. When I was about to pick this up to read, my friend who has already read the entire, you know, series up to this point, reread it several times, is freaking in love with it, was like, just wait, there are so many people that you haven't met yet that you need to meet, and you're going to fall in love with each and every single one of them. Oh my gosh, you have to read it. You have to read it. Yeah, I fell in love with most of them, but they're all still, I think, really good characters in their own regard. Aedion is bae. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. Aedion is bae. And you know what sealed Aedion being bae for me? Y'all should know me well enough by now to know that, you know, Aedion is totally the type to do that I would be completely and totally in love with, at least, you know, as far as literary figures go. But what sealed the deal for Aedion, for me anyway, was when he and Dorian are walking around, and Dorian is just like full of grump, and Aedion is just, you know, completely unbothered. And Aedion tripped him, and he fell into the rose bushes. We also are introduced to Rowan Whitethorn when we follow Celaena's adventures in Windland. And I didn't want to like Rowan. I really didn't. Like, I spent a good portion of this book being like, you are so irritating. Please get out of my face. I don't even remember what happened to turn him around for me. It's like, y'all, okay, y'all know me, you know, Celaena and Dorian for life. Like, that's endgame for me. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of ship Rowan and Celaena at this point. And I don't really get into that whole shipper war thing. That's stupid. But I'm not gonna be mad if she ends up with Rowan. I'm not. The one thing that irritated me about Rowan, though, is that he followed way too many fantasy tropes for me, especially when it came to, you know, his tragic backstory that explains why he's so angry and full of grump all the time. Like, that has been played out so many times. So many. Like, I feel like we could have gone a little more original direction with why he's so angry, full of grump. He could just be mean as hell for the sake of being mean as hell, but that's not the direction we went with. I still love him anyway, though. I do. Speaking of being mean as hell for the sake of being mean as hell, am I the only one that loves Queen Maeve? Because I love Queen Maeve. She's evil for the sake of being evil. She's always been evil for the sake of being evil. She does not care. Because Maeve is pinned as being evil for the sake of being evil, that kind of gives her sister, the now deceased Queen Mab, a break. And I really do like that S.J. Maas went that direction with Queen Mab, because I feel like anytime that Queen Mab gets brought up in any kind of, like, you know, fairy setting or fantasy setting. She's like, oh, queen of mistress, she's the devil. Basically, she's the devil. And she's kind of getting cut a break this time around just because Maeve is so terrible. We also got introduced to a lovely new character named Sorsha, who is my replacement brown girl. I took her as being my replacement brown girl because, as you all know, in the last book, y'all kind of butchered Princess Nehemia, and that made me very upset. But we got Sorsha, who is, you know, all types of cute and adorable. She's super smart. She works like in like the apothecary, is kind of like an apprentice healer in the palace and all that jazz. Dorian loves her to pieces. Bless that poor baby's heart. I love me some Dorian. But Dorian loves her, and I loved her too. I loved her too right up until the moment when S.J. Moss cut her head off. Can we not kill the token brown girl for once? Can we? In the next book, I want a brown girl or a brown person, preferably a girl, but you know, a brown person who does not get murdered in a violent way. Like, can we be happy? Can we be happy? Speaking of her being happy, I do not understand why she would not give it up. Like, Dorian was working so hard for that booty, and she was holding on to it like it was locked down, clank, clank. If I knew I was fooling around with the bullshit that Sorsha was fooling around with, I'd have been giving the cookies up every day. Every single day. Yes, I would have. But, you know, abstinence and all that. Good for you, Sorsha. Good for you. Speaking of Dorian and Kale, they are really going through it right now. Their friendship is being put to the test. They are not cool with each other at all at this point in time, and I really enjoyed this book because I feel like for the last couple of books everyone's been like giving Dorian a lot of crap for not being responsible and not taking himself seriously as Crown Prince of the Darling. And you really see Dorian coming into his own in this book. Like, he's made up his mind about what he's going to do and what side he's on. And here on the flip side, we have Kale, who just can't get his shit together. Like, baby boy cannot get it together. And Dorian is reading him. Not only is Dorian reading him, Dorian has read him, Aedion has read him, Ren has read him. Everybody is reading Kale for blood this time around. And you all know I like Kale well enough. Like, he's a cool dude. We could probably watch a couple of movies, you know, if he existed in the modern day time frame. But I need him to make up his damn mind. I really do. I need him to get it together. I need him to get it together and do something productive. He spends a lot of time sitting around chewing his nails and fretting. Like, I need him to stop. We also meet the witches. Y'all remember last book I talked about how I didn't really understand why the whole Baba Yellowlegs things got brought up. Well, this time around we met the witches. In particular, we met a witch named Manon Blackbeak. It's hard for me to say Manon, not put the French accent on it, because when I was in high school, I studied abroad with a girl named Manon. But that's beside the point. We meet Manon Blackbeak and we meet her coven of witches. We meet really all the witches because, you know, the king and his nefarious plans. He requires witches to carry out those plans. That noise kind of sums up how I feel about the witches. I hope that in the next book they get integrated more into the central plot, because at this point I was really reading the book, and every time they come up I'd be like, damn, y'all back? Yes, I did just smack the carpet. I smacked it. The awesome characters aside, I feel like this book is probably the best installment in the Throne of Glass series so far, just because we got so much history. We get so much backstory this time around. We learn about Queen Maeve and her entire history, why she's evil. Well, not why she's evil for the sake of being evil, but why she didn't come to the aid of Celaena's family when, you know, our darling marched in, you know, kicked some ass, took some names, chopped some heads off, slit some throats. We learn about Rowan. We learn more about what happened that night when when Celaena's parents were killed, that made her feel the way she feels now. It makes her basically, you know, shut all her emotions down. But I feel like the more history we learn about this world, the better the story becomes, the richer the story becomes, and the more the actions of the characters and the direction of the plot makes sense. I feel like now that we have some backstory, there's actually some direction as to where the story is going, where I feel like before, that's really what was missing here, and why everything was, not everything, but a lot of the way the storytelling was happening was kind of a turn-off for me. There was no context. We have a lot more context now. Context? I don't know how to speak English. But those are my thoughts on Heir of Fire. If you want to know a little more about what I think, drop me a comment down in the box below about something that you think I might should have talked about, something that stuck out to you about this story, whether you like the story or not. What did y'all rate the story? I think I rated it a solid 4 out of 5. This might have gotten a 4.5 for me, but I highly doubt it. Just, you know, let me know what you think in the box below. Also, check below for links to my actual reviews that I wrote after I wrote this. They're a little more in detail than what I talked about here today. Today I just kind of rambled on about feels. Seriously, if you want a roller coaster of emotion, read this book. Just read it. And here's a fun story about this book. I was reading this book at work, and I've kind of become the librarian of my group at my job. But I was reading this book at work, and one of my coworkers walks up to me and asks me if whatever it is that I'm reading, if I think it's something that her 16-year-old daughter might enjoy. And I was like, heck yeah, tell her to go get it. So I told her what the name of the series was, what the author was. She went home and, took her daughter to the library and picked her up the Throne of Glass books. Now she's obsessed with them. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Until next time, book people. Bye.